Hello everybody, this is Stephen Howson. This is Full Time Devils. This is the CSKA preview. Who knew that there was an actual game this week that people may or may not care about? But there was a game that we definitely cared about at the weekend. And today I am joined by Suf and Paul. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Arsenal game. And then we're going to get stuck into the CSKA game. And we're not even going to mention the one at the weekend. Maybe we will a little bit. I don't know. We'll figure it out. So the first thing what we're going to talk about today is momentum from the Arsenal game. That was a pretty unexpected win, I thought, from Manchester United. Arsenal fans have been crying about it like I'd say you wouldn't believe. But it's Arsenal, so you would believe how much they've been crying about it. Paul, how much of the momentum of that Arsenal game is going to play into this game and maybe the unmentionable one at weekend? What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think it's borderline irrelevant for this borderline irrelevant game. But it can't hurt ahead of the game at the weekend. But most importantly, it's other big away games going forward that should be a little bit affected by this Arsenal performance. I think so. I wrote a little thing on Bleacher Report before the game where I said the best hope United have is for Mourinho to realise where the team's strengths lie, and it isn't in the areas that his natural inclinations would shape the team. The reason that we won that game is we started like a house on fire and Arsenal were terrible defensively. So we got a 2-goal lead within 11 minutes. And after that, the game is always going to follow a certain pattern. But the fact that we were able to impose ourselves from an attacking perspective early on in that game should shape the way Mourinho thinks about big games, because this is a team that is not equipped to park the bus. We do not have a bus to park. But we do have a series of incredible fighter jets to rain down attacks with. So, yeah, less buses, more fighter jets.
So, I was going to ask you before Paul mentioned it, so I'm still going to ask it you anyway. Does this affect and does this change Jose's mentality going into these away games that we previously under Jose Mourinho have looked to maybe settle for a draw? Because Arsenal was in very good form. We were certainly not the favourites going into this. I was hoping that we would see a change of attitude from Manchester United going into that game. We saw it. We come away with 3 points. What does Jose Mourinho do next?
I think, to be fair, just to echo what Paul said, I think this has set a blueprint now. I mean, imagine if we started like this against Liverpool away, and imagine if we performed like this against Chelsea away. We'd be sat here talking about how, we've gone away to all these big teams and come away with like 9 points. But we went to Liverpool, we parked the bus, and that obviously, got a bit of a backlash. I think it was rather unsurprising for United to do that. But now I think the blueprint has been set. I think in the past we've enjoyed quite a lot of strong away performances at Arsenal. In the Champions League in 2009 when we beat them 3-1. I think a couple of years later when that counter-attacking piece of play with Nani and Rooney. So we've always had a bit of joy at Emirates. And, like Paul said, we have got some absolutely really impressive and explosive attacking players, and if we let them, as Jose says, let the horses run freely, they can cause some damage, man. And we've got a squad of players, and people like Jesse Lingard are coming in, stepping up, and because he's got the foundation around him, he can literally just go in there, do his little minimal bit, but make such a big impact. And seeing those Arsenal fans crying on Saturday was so rewarding, man, because all season they've been moaning and whatever. They've been in the best form of their season so far, so they've been a bit excited. We've just gone over there and basically pissed on their parade. So I'm happy with that, and hopefully United can start doing this more consistently at big away fixtures in the future.
Paul, the tactics for the Arsenal game were very, very similar to the tactics for the Watford game. Now, by the end of the game, it's come out with Arsenal with 33 shots and United with 4 shots or something along those lines to score our 3 goals. But don't you think that a lot of that was down to the fact that we scored early, didn't need to attack, and was always going to just invite that sort of pressure from Arsenal when we did?
Well, I think the simple answer to that question is yes, but that is not entirely a good thing from a United perspective. I think the extent to which Arsenal dominated that game has been massively overblown by, I guess, certain sections of Arsenal's support, I would say. But United did give up way too many big chances in that game, way too many, because it isn't the number of shots. It is, There's a statistical model called expected goals, which has got a lot of attention at the moment. And the thing about that model is it's far from perfect, but it's an extremely useful shorthand for the quality of chances created. And it's very clear that Arsenal created a lot of high quality chances in that game. It's just David De Gea is the best in the business, and he was on absolutely peak magician form. It took 2 players unmarked in the 6-yard box to beat him. Like, that's the extent of his amazingness in that game. But so I think on one hand, you say we were 2-0 up very early. It's always going to affect the end result numbers, like the overall statistics of that game are always going to be skewed by the fact that we had a 2-0 lead from the 11th minute. But I do think the quality of chances we gave up would have worried Mourinho, certainly. And is evidence that our backline, I mean, even against Watford, like if Messi Lingard didn't do what he did to make it 4-2, it was starting to get really worrying, that game. So we do have real vulnerabilities, but we also have tremendous talent going forward, obviously.
I think just to point on what Paul's mentioned there, actually, like when Watford scored their second goal, and I was saying to my mate, I was like, if Watford equalise now, it's something that we both deserved, because we completely took our foot off the gas, and it was like disrespect to the opponent, really. When actually we should have, like, Lukaku shouldn't have been messing about when he had that chance. And, you know, he sort of fluffed it. So I think it would have been something that we both deserved. And even if Arsenal would have you know, equalised, we wouldn't have begrudged them the points, because, you know, they were showering down their attacks on the United goal. But thank God for David De Gea, really.
On the expected goals kind of thing as well, I actually think I remember seeing a stat that United, with our 2 goals, hadn't even got over 1 expected goal at that point, because the chances that we took was quite low percentage. They just happened to go in, which is fair play for us, but unlucky for Arsenal. Now, Messi Lingard has taken his opportunities big time in the last couple of games, shown his worth from that central position when a certain Armenian wasn't really doing so. So is tomorrow night's game the opportunity for Henrik Mkhitaryan to have a restake of this place, which was his essentially up until 2 games ago? So, what do you reckon?
Yeah, man. I think, you know, he started the season off so well, didn't he? He got like 5 assists in his first 3 games, and that's because of the fact that the lineup that he was a part of was allowing him to be, you know, productive whilst going forward. I think as the games have progressed, after Pogba got injured, that has had an effect on the dynamics of the team. And he's sort of tried to be a lot more like imaginative in his play. You can't really blame him for that, because he's trying. If out of 11 attempted dribbles, 9 were failed, but 2 were successful, and 2 goals came out of there, we wouldn't be sat there focusing on the failed dribbles. But the fact that he was doing it sort of not consistently enough, rightly then brought his critics. And I think tomorrow, hopefully, it's a game which the stakes aren't very high. We just can't lose by 7 goals, basically. So it'd be a good little chance for him ahead of the derby as well, to stake his claim for that starting 11 and just remind us of what his worth is and how good he is and why he was voted the Bundesliga Player of the Year for 1 or 2 seasons in a row before he joined United.
Yeah, Paul, Europe's been a pretty happy hunting ground for Mkhitaryan. Do you think this game against CSKA is the sort of time when there's probably going to be very little pressure on the team going into the game? Is this the opportunity that Mkhitaryan needs and he's going to get to step up here, do you reckon?
Again, there's a kind of short answer and a long answer here, because I think the short answer is just yes, of course. The low pressure game in Europe where he's likely to have a reasonable amount of space because Moscow definitely need to score 4, basically. It should be perfectly set up for Mkhitaryan. But the broad question about Mkhitaryan's United career is one which doesn't have simple answers. And Suf mentioned the impact of Pogba's absence on Mkhitaryan, and I think that was an absolutely valid factor in his kind of collapse in form. But what that then was extrapolated out into was he couldn't place a 6-yard pass sideways, and he was literally passing the ball behind the players he was trying to thread through and knocking the ball out into touch. His form didn't just collapse structurally, it then also collapsed personally. And it wasn't even that he was trying too hard and getting things wrong, he was getting the simple stuff wrong as well. And And this is a big problem. So I am a massive fan of Mkhitaryan. He plays the game kind of in the way I like to see it being played, really, full of flair and invention, and he's always prepared to try something. And he would have been amazing in an Alex Ferguson side. You know, the Robin van Persie quote where Fergie would say, look, just go out there and try something, take a shot, do a trick, I want to be entertained. But in a team where Mourinho requires a degree of defensive discipline out of him, this is a bit of an overstatement, and I'm not saying I have a strong opinion either way, but I'm absolutely not sure he can ever really be a long-term success at United in the current setup.
That's a bold claim, Paul.
It's not. I literally preface that by saying it's not a bold claim. I'm saying it's a concern.
That's a bold claim, that, Paul. Right, we got some bold claims from you guys as well in the comments. Get your comments in and we'll find some interesting ones and read them out. Ryan Wellsbury says, Tuanzebe to start, hopefully. Rest Matic, Marshall and Lingard start, Mkhitaryan and Rashford. I think you've got a very good chance of seeing all of those things, to be honest. Gurav says, lol, forgot this was CSKA. That's the thing, we've had a massive game at Arsenal, we had a massive game at Watford, let's be honest with ourselves. We've obviously got a massive unmentionable game at the weekend against the 1/8 of Manchester. But yes, this is still an important game, this is Champions League football, this is what we live for, so clearly we're going to have to turn up and do something tomorrow and not lose 6-7-0. Rajal says, it'd be good to see Luke Shaw start. 100% agree, if he doesn't get the opportunity to start in this game, when's he going to start? When is he going to start? There's less pressure in this game than playing him in a League Cup game against Burton. Let's face it. JL14 says, where are all the Lingard haters now? Well, considering your name is JL14, I'm going to say you definitely wasn't one in the first place. Seth Mallow says, honestly, whether we finish top of the group or second, we could still face a big team. Play the damn kids, rest the main guys for the derby. Bingo. And Kamal says Luke Shaw must start. And then we got a couple from Greg Ward. What's going on in the background? I'm assuming they're talking to Suf because there's not going on in Paul's background. And unless
I'm in the office. I'm in the staff room at work.
I don't think they're moving, so there's nothing going on behind me. And then Google says Champions League harder to win than the World Cup. I don't know about that one.
It's probably harder to win, but you get a lot more chances at it.
Yeah.
And you can also be born in a small nation and still win it. Whereas if you're born in a smaller nation, perhaps that doesn't play football so much. You know, you're relying on the fact that you've got a squad of other people around you. Not that you could, make moves in your career and end up at a team that's likely to win it. Right, we're going to hit up a 30-second advert, maybe. There we go. I feel absolutely refreshed on the back of that 30-second break. Go and buy some of whatever that was. We're going to get into the starting 11s where we're going to find out if you guys are doing any resting and rotating. Statman Dave got a perfect 11 versus Arsenal. He's not sure up about it. He's took the whole week off work. He's gone on like a bit of a lap of the country giving talks about it. So he's very happy with himself. As it stands, he's 5 points off Makola, who's currently top. Then we've got Doc Joshi on 48, John Sheen on 47, Ben Pearce 36. We've got Suff on 32, I'm on 31, Scott's on 25, Work Shadowing Yasir 19, Cheek Sport Dave 18, and a lot of the opposition fans get an 11 out of 11. I wonder if that's because they have a bit more of a settled side than we always do, but a lot of the opposition was getting it. Suff, got to come to you first. Give us your starting 11 for CSKA Moscow, please. So,
my formation I've gotten for is typical 4-2-3-1. I don't think he's going to play the three at the back. It's not an important away match. I've gone for a back five of Romero, Valencia, Lindelof, Smalling and Blind. I don't think he's going to start Shaw, although I do think he deserves one. I just don't think Mourinho likes him anymore. I think he's disheartened by him and lost a lot of confidence in him. I'd obviously definitely give Matic a rest. So I put Pogba in there with Herrera. Obviously, Pogba's going to miss the next 3 league games. And then I've gone for Mata on the right, Mickey in the middle, needs to get back in there. I've gone for Martial on the left because I believe he's starting with Rashford on Saturday because of his work rate. Obviously, that man, big Rom up front with his black boots, no sponsorship deal. Hopefully, he can get on the score sheet, get his confidence nice and warm for the big game on Saturday or Sunday, whenever it is, the weekend.
Find it hard to believe Lukaku's not got a sponsorship deal. Is he going to pay his rent this weekend? Is he going to be all right? Do we need to, everyone put a quid in a paper cup for him or what? What's going on? Anyway, Paul, give us your start 11, please.
Hopefully, Chris hasn't put my graphic up because I sent him the team and then looked at it afterwards.
Yeah, he has. Unlucky.
No, ignore everything that you can see. This is my team. Romero, that's the same. In fact, the back four is the same. I like Seth. I would love to see Luke Shaw. I don't think we will. I think if we do, it's a shop window thing. I think the chance of Luke Shaw having a United career now, I'd still love it to happen, to be honest. But it almost seems like it's like I don't know if you're familiar with the Peanuts sketches, the cartoon, but there's this running gag where Lucy holds an American football for Charlie Brown to kick, and every time Charlie Brown goes to kick it, she pulls it away and he falls over. And like she'll spend hours persuading him this time she'll hold it in place. But she never does. She always takes it away, and that's how I feel about Luke Shaw and Jose Mourinho. Like he's never going to hold that football in place. He's always going to pull it away at the last minute. So that's the back four. Pogba and Herrera, completely forgot about I assumed Pogba would be getting a rest, but that would be ridiculous. I mean, it's probably not ideal to have to play Herrera. I wonder whether he would even maybe consider playing Pogba and McTominay. And just get everyone going massively fresh into the weekend. I also think that wouldn't be a bad combination necessarily, but I think he's likely to take the more conservative approach. Mickey, Mata, Rashford, Mickey and Mata in either position behind the striker, and then Lukaku up front, although there's another player that could potentially do with the rest, but maybe even more important for Lukaku is just an opportunity to break this kind of scoring bit of a drought thing, which is kind of being dramatically overstated, particularly since he's been excellent in the last two games, I thought.
Some of his link-up play and some of the passes that he's played have been absolutely out of this world. That if he was scoring as well, people would be tripping up over themselves to talk about how good he's been. But I'm going to go against you there because I actually think that I would like to see him rested ahead of the derby because I'm expecting a big output of work rate from him. Will Jose do that? I don't know. With Zlatan potentially being out was what he sort of alluded to in his press conference earlier. I thought with Zlatan having no part to play in the weekend, he was nailed on for 90 minutes this week. That clearly doesn't seem to be the case. So I'm a little bit confused as to what he's going to do, how he's going to play it. I don't know. Like you said, is McTominay going to be brought in? Sounds like Pogba's going to play, potentially because he's banned for the weekend. This could be an opportunity for Jose Mourinho to show a bit of faith. There's not really many under 23s and under 18s games on the horizon. There's a bit of a break at the moment. There's an ample opportunity to show some of these lads a bit of faith and throw them in the mix. I know Angel Gomez is going to be the first name on everyone's lips. I'd be absolutely floored if Angel Gomez gets an opportunity. I don't think that's going to happen. But I think Tuanzebe could. I think that's a very realistic one. I think that's one that everybody would like to see. Right, let's talk about CSKA Moscow. Paul, going to come to you first. What do we need to be looking out for? Are we going to lose 7-0?
No, we're absolutely not going to lose 7-0. I think, I can't remember, the permutations are complicated because it's not a straightforward goal difference. It's about head-to-head, and then the games against Benfica get taken out of the calculation. And I think I saw somebody say, I believe if we don't lose 5-0, we top the group, and if we don't lose 4-0, we qualify. And I don't think either of those are even a remote possibility if we display the slightest level of confidence. Moscow are not as bad as they were when we played them, I don't think. I think they were spectacularly awful in that game. That's the only game this season where Herrera and Matic has worked as a double pivot in the centre of midfield. I think that was a game where he switched to 4-3-3, maybe. No, it was 3-4-3 that he switched to. And it was a really attacking 3-4-3. I think that was maybe the first time that Mourinho had used three at the back as an attacking strategy rather than a defensive one. And it was incredibly effective because basically the ancient Moscow back line just went, no, it's fine. You can come and score goals. We are very hospitable people. You know, it was this sort of situation. Yeah, that's right. But it couldn't have been easier. I think maybe every one of the goals was a complete gimme. At least two of them were, and they've got some talented players. Alan Jagoev is a fine player. You know, he had that really good Euros a couple of Euros ago, and is perennially linked with a move to a big club in Europe. But sometimes the best Russian talent does stay in Russia. So yeah, I think they'll play with three at the back again. I'm sure the impetus is on them to attack, which is not going to suit them at all, because my goodness, are they vulnerable on the counter attack to our pace up front. It's another one of the reasons. Like I think that Rashford will play in this game and Martial will play at the weekend because of the form that Martial's in. He's kind of undroppable at the moment, and the kind of, if he doesn't play in this game, it won't be. Although Mourinho did take him off after 60 minutes against Arsenal, which might suggest maybe. But if Martial and Rashford both play in this game, my goodness, that could be exciting.
I think that was more tactical with what was going on with Martial. Suf, do you think we're going to lose 4-5-0? Do you expect us to go for him? Or this is going to be a 0-0 where United don't really take any risks. What's going to happen?
Do you know what? Yeah, I think Moscow, they were so poor in the first game that even if we didn't go for it, I can see us still ending up winning like 3 or 4-0, to be honest. Just plainly because of the fact that their back line is very ancient. They were very lethargic and lackluster against us, and I believe when we did play them there, we were still in third gear, and we were 4 up in no time. And we could have scored maybe 6, 7, 8 goals there. We're not going to lose 4-0. I don't think we're going to draw 0-0 either. I think it's definitely going to be minimum 3, maximum 6-0. If we just continue, man. Like, I think they were so weak. I mean, that kid that scored against us.
Did you just say 6-0's like a possibility, and then just totally gloss over it? Let's give us just actual score prediction without bracketing it. It could be 0-0 or 10-0. I don't know. Go on, give us an actual score. 4-0.
A conservative 4-0, because that's just been our favourite scoreline this season.
Yeah, you can't say conservative and 4-0 in the same sentence.
You can.
No, listen,
yes,
you can, because that's just United this season, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? We've just made it so easy. We just made it normal scoring 4 goals away from home, at home. It doesn't matter. We'll just score 4 goals. That's just been our favourite.
Paul, score prediction.
Goals to score.
4-0, obviously. 4-0 FC in effect. It's just totally straightforward. I mean, the one thing I would say is there's no way we'll score 5, because we have got a hard limit. They're getting fined if they score more than 4 goals. It's clear. That's it. You're not allowed to score more.
Moscow's got to come here and score a hatful of goals. We're going to concede at least 1. I know Romero's playing, which means probably is a clean sheet. I'm going to say 4-2. I'm going to stick with you, but I think they're going to come for us a little bit, make it a bit open, but we'll end up smashing them. What do you guys reckon, sitting there at home looking at us going, what is he on about, 6-0? Bang your score predictions in the comments. Give us your starting 11 predictions, because that's going to be absolutely ninja to get right this time around. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to tune in to Full Time Devils tomorrow for all the pre, during and post-match coverage, and we'll see you in a bit. Oh, we got Bushcam coming soon. See you in a bit.